Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I appreciate your patience and we're back and full steam ahead. I have a bunch of great guests lined up for you guys in the next coming months and I'm really pumped about it. Most of them are brand new, but some of them are some of your favorite guests that I'm having back to check in to see how they're doing a few years later, see what they've implemented, see how things have changed, and how their business has grown since I've talked to them last. And now that we're back, I decided that I want to give you guys maximum value out of this podcast. I know that breaking up the show into 30-minute segments always left you guys wanting more. So I'm going to give it to you. From now on, we're going to be doing full-length episodes. I tried to do the mini episode thing, but you know us welders, all we want to do is talk. So those episodes that were supposed to be short 15, 20-minute episodes ended up being an hour or more. So you know what? I'm just going to let you have it all. But in return, I'm going to want to talk to more of you guys. Now, I totally understand that doing an interview isn't for everybody, and I totally get that. But I know most of you have some hilarious job site stories that the rest of us would love to hear. So you know what? I want to hear them. I want to hear all about the shenanigans that you've experienced over the years on the job sites from all different types of trades. I also want to hear about the hard lessons you've learned. Those lessons that cost you a lot of money and that were painful to learn. As business owners, I know we all have them. And I'd like you to share them with the guys who are listening so they don't make the same mistakes. I think sharing these stories helps us all out and know that we're in this together. And hopefully some people will learn from it. So if you're up for sharing a short story or a full-length episode, or you want to recommend somebody, let me know. Head on over to weldingbusinessowners.com and click the book a call button on there. That'll take you to the Google Calendar of all the times that I get set up to sit down with you guys. Or send me an email, kevin@jmwfabrication.com. I look forward to talking with you and putting out episodes that you guys want to hear. Hey guys, welcome to the Welding Business Owners Podcast, where our podcasts are late, but our bids are on time. I'm your host, Kevin, with JMW Fabrication. Today, I've got a special episode with John from The Shop Incorporated. He runs a fab shop out of Florida, New York, that has a really good mix of welding, fabrication, and machining. I followed his stuff for a long time, and I really like the quality he put out of his shop, and I think you guys will too. So if you want to follow along with what he does, you can find him on Instagram at the.shop.incorporated. I really enjoyed our talk together, and I think you guys will too. If you guys like this talk, please share it with somebody. Give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast player, and send it to somebody who would benefit from it. And if you think you've got something to offer, reach out to me. I'm always up for more podcast guests. We're all in the same boat, and we have different unique experiences, and everybody wants to hear it. So reach out to me, kevin@jmwfabrication.com. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me at fabricatorolympics.com. Trust me, if you want to get a hold of me, you'll be able to find me. And without any further ado, here's my talk with John from The Shop Incorporated. All right, John, great to see you, buddy. We haven't seen each other since FabTech, and I mean, at FabTech, we barely even got to say hi to each other. So welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for making the time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, Kevin.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do, your business, your socials, and where everybody can find you, and just give us a little bit of an idea of what the shop is like.
Ooh, that's a good question. So it's The Shop Incorporated. I'm in Orange County, New York. I'm on Instagram at The Shop Incorporated, and I think I'm a professional problem solver, more or less. I, do welding, fabrication, some machining, line boring. I don't know. I try to create a little bit of a challenge for myself while keeping it tame enough to actually still make money on those challenges. And so that's always kind of interesting. But yeah,
So professional problem solver, How long have you been doing this?
So I've had the shop for 11 years. This will actually be, well, this August will be 12 years. And before that, I did mobile welding for myself, and that was a little slower. So like the wintertime, I'd get a job, stuff like that. Um, but a lot of my experience is really like working on cars and being like having a strong mechanical aptitude. So it's like I've always just like used welding to like kind of facilitate a repair. And don't get me wrong, I think it's like fascinating and there's so much technical side. Like there's a lot of the technicalities welding and um between even just the processes and stuff. I do enjoy it, but I don't think it's like my favorite thing
Mhm.
necessarily. I just, kind of use it as a tool.
Gotcha. How many guys is it just you or do you have guys working for you?
No, I've kind of gone around that a couple times. I've had people work for me in the past. Like I've had like 7 people work for me at one point, or I've had like one or two full-time people work for me. Uh, but I'm kind of particular, and because the work's all over the place, it's kind of hard to have one person that can be so well-rounded and have it not be my competition.
Mhm.
So, it's like sometimes if like there's a job that lasts, longer than like just a couple of days, I might consider getting some help. But for the most part, I don't know. I've had to, I'm sure you've gone through it with the railings and stuff, but having to go back and rework someone else's work or have to start over because something was messed up.
Mhm.
Uh, Not something I'm really interested in anymore. And like a lot of times when I'm doing a repair now, it's for like a manufacturing facility local, and it's usually like semi-shutdown work. So like there's not really like an allowance to mess up, and if there
Mhm.
is, it has to be like so minute that it can be like repaired and still delivered on time. So I don't know. I've kind of just, I guess, finally found a little bit of self-employed freedom, and I think that is actually deciding what work I'm going to take on, what work I'm not going to, and
Mm.
kind of keep a busy enough schedule where like obviously I can still make a living, but not try and take on more than I can handle myself, or within reason. I feel like I ask a friend to give me a hand with something like that, but
Okay.
I think mental health wise, it's been a lot better this way. The
Uh,
last few years has been smoother.
how many customer like so do you have like a core base of customers that you just pull from or do you advertise it all or how's that work?
So like I'll advertise like, the sweatshirt on my back or pens and lighters, but mainly it's just word of mouth. I do have a Google ad out. I was doing like a decent amount of like DOT, like inspection like work. So like, you get a DOT stop and someone gets an out of service, you got to go there, patch up a frame or something like that. That hasn't really, I haven't been doing a lot of that lately. More so just line boring for a couple different customers, and really some of my customers are just big enough that between me doing their work and the little bit of walk-in work that I actually like to that I'll agree upon with a customer to do, it keeps me pretty busy.
Nice.
Like right now I have a job where I'm CNC machining like 1,200 piece order. So
Mm.
like between that, in between 12-minute cycle times, running out to do something else in between it, and you know, before the end, before you realize it, it's like Friday, and then the evening, you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to try again either tomorrow morning or Monday and start all back up. But yeah,
12-minute
if you
cycle time. That's like just long enough to not be able to get anything done.
It used to be 6 minutes, and then I added another part into the mix and decided to like deburr everything. So the part comes off one and done. It's like it doesn't have to have a second op or anything like that.
Mhm.
So like I've actually like kind of doubled the cycle time, and it's like it's funny because like you think that there's nothing gonna get done, and now it's like, well, I can go drill 7 more holes in some stainless and then run back over and load the machine up again.
Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, 12 minutes is a lot better than 6 because 6 is like,
Yeah.
man, by the
Oh,
time like walking across the shop takes 30 seconds each way. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
you can barely even go to the bathroom. You're like running in and running out just because like you don't want the machine to sit because then it's just longer. Like it's that many more times that you have to be there later in the day or something like that. So
Sure.
yeah, it's interesting.
Dang. All right. So, Tell me what were some of your challenges with having guys work for you, other than just the time constraints and stuff like that.
Oh, the amount of people who claim but can't read a tape measure accurately is mind blowing. I've had people come in that they claim to be like really good at stainless steel TIG welding, and they've never back purged something before. They can't light the torch. The same guy actually, he tried lighting a torch by starting with the oxygen and trying to feed acetylene into it, and it was just, obviously popping and not want to do anything. And just the run in the mix of like that, or um, I don't know. I've always had like a sense where if when I had a job, if that job, was done, it was just like, oh, what else can I do to kind of keep busy? Just because I don't know if it's like the way that my mind is, but I get bored pretty easily, so I always just want to keep doing something.
Mm.
And having employees that they're like, well, this is my task, and when I'm done doing that task or that task is in process, there's nothing else for me to do. It's just like, no, there's always something to
Yeah.
do. So it's like that
Mm.
kind of mentality, or like it's good enough, or can't see it from my house. Those kind of things just drive me wild. It's just
Yeah.
like you shouldn't even be here then. Like if you have like this hard limit in your mind of like that's enough effort, or like oops, I made a mistake, and I don't have to even bother going back to kind of blend that out, or maybe put an extra weld in and then reblend it, or it's just like going the extra distance. And I don't know, maybe it's just I'm a really bad teacher or a really bad boss, but so whatever that the core of it is, it's uh I don't yeah, I'm more of a like a technician, and uh that likes to work alone, I guess, more or less
Hmm.
when I'm self-employed. I feel like it's nice having CNC equipment because they're only as dumb as you're willing to make them be. So
Yeah.
it's like, kind of jump between some equipment, even like with the plasma table kind of stuff too. It's like I've always found it to be more interesting to either buy or build something that can help me throughout my day than
Hmm.
to try to take on an employee. And maybe it's just because like I'm all over the place with the type of work that I do, but I feel like I have a large capacity and pretty low overhead considering, and it kind of just makes it where like don't get me wrong, like I love just fixing stuff. It's
Yeah.
not like a great business motto. It's like I want to be the guy doing the work. Um, so it's very limiting as far as that. Like I'm sure there's going to be so many more people more successful than me, but I also get to like go home during the daytime if I want to work on my deck and do that because I'm going to make sure like the rest of the work is done and still go take advantage of it. And
Hmm.
I guess I'm trying to live like a self-employed retired lifestyle where like like I still want to work hard, but like I want to actually like try to do the things I want to do while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And like
Uh,
even if it's like during the day, I'm going to do it.
mhm.
So probably not
No,
the best
absolutely.
example.
No, I totally relate with that because one of the things. So, like when I first started out, I was just on it all the time for years. I was just always working all the time. Like there was no foot off the throttle. And the work life balance was tough because I poured a lot into the business and like Hunter was around and our two littlest ones weren't. And it was just it was just a lot of work. And then I realized that like I know myself well enough that I know that I love to tinker. Even when I started to do more of the management side and the bidding and the office work, I was getting frustrated because I wasn't able to go out and get my hands dirty as much, like to hop on the tools and, being able to go out and actually. So I realized I needed a mix of that. I needed to be able to do the estimating, do the office work, get it done. Like my sweet spot is like 3 hours a day. If I can if I can do my office work in 3 hours and then have the rest of the day to go do stuff in the shop or outside of the shop or change the oil or in the forklifts and fill the tires here and service this, like, that's what I really like to do. And then also be able to, be just, my like, leave early because My daughter's in karate and does dance, like sometimes I take a half day or I have the flexibility to work at home because I'm gonna get, I have a 2 hour commute like both ways.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, so I drive 55 minutes each way to my shop.
Oh, wow.
And the fact that if I can work at home, I can work, if I'm 8 hours at home is my 10-hour workday at the
Right.
shop. And to be honest with you, it's more like if I get 6 hours of solid work here at the house with no distractions, it's just as much work as a 10-hour day at the shop because I don't have the distractions of people coming in and out of the office and talking to people and taking break over here, and then we have questions and things like that. So, I'm actually more productive in 6 hours here at the house than I am at the shop for 10 hours.
I can
So,
relate to that. I feel
yeah.
like breaking a train of thought is like the hardest thing to kind of,
My
mentally
god.
get back set up for. And all, it's like, what was I doing? How was I doing it? And then as
Oh,
soon as you get back into it, there's another distraction.
yeah, and estimating, a lot of my estimates don't take more than, like, an hour. But if you're in the middle of an estimate and somebody needs you to come look at something, dude, it is so frustrating to have to come back to that and be like, "All right, where was I?" And it take they say it takes, 15 minutes to get back into it. It it's true, man. Like if you're on a roll and somebody stops you, man, it is really hard. So it's funny at the shop we have it was an old medical trailer that we bought. We turned it into our kids' homeschooling, trailer when Melissa was at the shop a lot more. Now that they're not at the shop a lot more, I took it and turned it into, like, I call it a war room. Like, it's my planning and strategic for the business and podcast stuff, and we painted the walls, and I put whiteboards up and these big giant sticky notes that are, like, 2 foot by 3 foot all over for the growth and everything, so when I'm in there, if everybody knows if I'm in there, do not come unless it's, you really, really need me because I am in the zone.
Like you got to call the bat phone to come in.
Yeah, right? I've had to train my dad so I rent the house at my property to my dad, and
Okay.
he's the hardest one to train because he doesn't listen to anything I have to say. So, I tell him, like, "Dad, when you come in here, it's not to just see if you want me to if I want you to throw out those Amazon boxes, like, that can wait. Just throw them out."
Yeah,
Like
that's funny.
so, um, so, you've been doing this for 11, almost 12 years. How Tell me how your journey was to, what brought you to starting your own business, and what did that whole journey look like?
That's actually a pretty interesting story.
I love it. Let's hear it.
So I was actually on a road trip with my friend who I was living with at the time, and we were with one of his buddies and my friend's youngest sister. And I wanted to date his younger sister, and he said I couldn't because I didn't have a job. So us literally him and I on our way back from like Utah, we're driving my Subaru back, and I was just like, fine, I'll start a shop. And yeah, here we are 11 years later. That relationship quickly did not work out, and yeah, like I guess the rest is history. But yeah, so like just to be like the spiteful, like, oh, I have a quick answer. I'll start a shop. He's like, well, what are you gonna do? I was like, well, I'll turn wrenches until I get busy enough to like be welding and fabricating all the time and just kind of like figure it out from there. So I like hit everyone up in my phone on the way back because at the time I didn't have a job. I had just quit the job that I had, like putting up some pole barns to go on that road trip that we were on. So I was just like, all right, well, I'll do that. And he's like, what are you gonna name it? I was like, I don't know. It's got to be kind of generalized because I'm gonna like start with turning wrenches and then do that. So he named it the shop. He's like, how about the shop? So um, so that happened, yeah, and been fortunately I've been busy ever since.
Nice.
I found a shop when we got back. It was maybe like a week or two later, um, and rented a 26-foot box truck. Pretty much gave my landlord like the last of my money for the security deposit, and moved all my stuff in, and I was very busy turning wrenches on cars. I worked on like German cars and Subarus and stuff, so it was plenty to work on all the time.
Hmm.
And then by that point, I already had a lot of connections working as far as like welding and fabrication, because I don't know if it's being a loudmouth or just knowing a lot of people in like my hometown. I was already doing work for the DPW at the time, like because like I said before that, I was doing mobile welding, so I already had like a decent customer base and stuff. So really, just kind of using my phone contacts, it was pretty good legway or like segue into starting the shop and moved all my stuff in, like I said, and it's kind of just been catering to the work that comes through the door now. Years back, it was, someone come in like, can you machine this? I'm like, I don't really know anything about machining, but this guy does, and have him do it. And then like all of a sudden there's like quick interest of like, that's a cool piece of equipment, and buy a Bridgeport because a drill press is not good enough, and then buy a little lathe, and then those aren't good enough. So buy CNC lathe and a CNC mill, and just always just kind of like a kid in the candy store when it comes to interesting equipment. Because I don't know if it's being able, like having the ability to machine and weld now, but like
Hmm.
it's created like a really good niche for the line boring, being able to like build your own parts or your own tooling and then use that.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
yeah, so I don't know. It's more like I'm getting paid just to have fun in the shop sometimes, than it is like work.
That's cool, man. So um who do you think taught you the most about your your journey with I mean your mechanical ability, your business journey? Who do you think you look to the most to that helped you out?
Ooh, interesting. As far as I can remember, I've always just had like a really strong mechanical aptitude. Like
Hmm.
my parents told me that I climbed out of my crib when I was like 2 years old and took apart like a die-cast car. And, I was like pretty young, probably like 5 or 6 years old. I took apart like an old like cassette recorder and
Hmm.
like touching the battery to the speaker to make like Morse code and stuff like that. And just, but I was a really strong reader when I was a kid, so I would just like read like nonstop. So it's hard to say. I think just my parents letting me take stuff apart and always work on stuff when I was a kid and not being like, you're gonna get hurt. It's just like, oh, if you're gonna build a fort, you can't use a circular saw, but you can use a sawzall kind of thing,
Hmm.
like you're not gonna get killed as quickly. It's like so I guess like that kind of freedom has really helped. Like when I was a kid, my mom had a station wagon and I would use my allowance and go pick up plywood to like make forts. And we used like the back window would drop down, so like two pieces of plywood like squeak just in, like literally like stains of the blue on the edge of the plywood on like the gaskets of the window. It was pretty cool. So like yeah, I've always been like building stuff for as long as I could remember. But like I think I don't know. Like even when I was younger, my grandma would always tell me I should like hang a shingle because when I was, I mean, like barely even 10 years old, I would like change out like an outlet for a neighbor or like hang a door for them. Like I don't know, I've just always been kind of like I said, like hands on. But I would probably say like if anybody, my buddy Chris, when I was younger, I started working for him. He was one of the first shops I worked at, and um, just like some of my teachers, instead of like teaching me or like making me memorize something, it was like try to be as resourceful as possible and like figure out how to like teach yourself things. So instead of like stopping at something, let's like, oh, I can't do this. It's like, why can't I do that? Oh, it's because this needs to happen. It's like, okay, well, let's break that down. How do you do that? And it's just like ask enough questions, and before you know, it's like, oh, I just have to move this screw a little bit, and it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, there's 1,000 other steps, but um, so I don't know if I have like a great answer for that. I would just say maybe like a couple bosses over the years were like pretty key as far as into like explaining how to like, maybe lay out a little bit better instead of laying out a flange on four sides or like a plate off of four sides. It's like find the square corner and work off of two edges and things like that that just like you don't think about it not making sense until you realize that like not every plate is cut square or this or and it's like
Sure.
tolerance stack up and like just a little bit of experience from every job over the years, I guess. It's just
Yeah,
kind of rounded me into like being able to like diagnose stuff more or less, I guess. I don't
sure. So if the shop started out of wanting to date your buddy's little sister, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
know. Hmm.
What was some of the big breakthroughs in early on in business where you realize like, wow, this like this thing's actually gonna work.
Uh, I remember like landing a couple like bigger jobs back like a while back. Every time I would bid on something, it's like you look at it, you're like, oh, it's like I can't believe I'm going to submit a quote for like $10,000, and like they get it, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't quote that at $18,000.
They got such a good
um,
deal.
yeah. Um, Always trying to challenge myself. Gave my customers a lot of good deals and a lot of longer lead times on some weird projects, but overall, I I don't know.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, so how about this? What was the hardest thing that you've had to learn in business?
Geez, pricing.
Okay.
Like I said, I've always just wanted to do the work, so it's like trying to figure it out because I don't know if it's a lot of it is like, well, I could do it faster because I don't know if it's like a pride thing, and it's like I don't want to admit that it's going to actually take 4 hours if it's going to take 4 hours, or
Hmm.
if I just think if it took me 4 hours one time, I can do it in 3 hours the next time. Um, but estimating has probably been like earlier on one of those things where like it's like, should I even be doing this? Am I qualified? Like I could do the work, but like, and then, but it's also like the flip side of that, I don't ever wanted anyone to quote for me because I feel like a lot of times, mainly because maybe because I'm the one like that I want to do the work, I don't like, it's like, how could they quote for me? They don't know how, much work I can get done in an hour, and just, I don't know, just maybe having doubt in other people, or doubt in like a fluid relationship like that because working on cars, it was so much easier because you can just go into the computer, look up what flat rate was going to be, and it was like pretty cut and dry. But with welding and fabrication, I feel like everything is so much different. Like even a railing, it's like depends on where you're going to core drill it. If it's concrete, if it's bluestone stairs, like there's just so many dynamics to everything that like starting out was just like, holy smokes, there's a lot. But
Just fumbling
um,
through it.
yeah, so like a lot of times it was just like when I first started, it was like time and material is going to be the best way that no one gets burned, and then like and then like as like I started to realize like processes and stuff, it was like, oh, I'm going to charge railings by the foot now, or staircases by the stair and platform, um, and then just kind of build a system. Whether it's like looking back at older jobs and kind of just going, oh, that staircase was similar to this one, divided by the stairs and platforms, kind of figure out a little algorithm or formula for it.
Hmm.
Uh, those is that's helped me over the years. But then because I'm always like trying to learn something different. It's just like, all right, well, I figured out the welding and the fabrication for the most part, whereas like making like really good money, and then it's just like, well, let's just suffer more now and start machining and like, like tool up for that, and then figure out how much things are gonna like how much time it's gonna take to do this, and then there's like a factor of like I don't try to make it my customer's problem to for me to learn something. So when it's for like initial, it's like they get a better deal than they probably even should, just to kind of entice them to take the job on. Because
Hmm.
it's like, all right, well, it's like I don't want to invest into myself fully to learn this. So it's like I'll give you a really good deal, and you pay me to do the job at like and then like I'm basically getting paid to learn. And um, I think I've had like a lot of enjoyment doing that, um, because it's just opened up a lot of doors, and to the point where like I have more equipment than I have space in my
Hmm.
shop. But I like using all the different pieces of equipment, and it helps really switch up the weeks. Like instead of just doing like, oh, well, these 15,000 stair clips on. It's like, not interested, or like do like several hundred feet of railing. I don't want to do that either now. And it's like, I don't know. I guess I've been like more or less picking over the years, or like being picky and choosy more or less on what work I want to take on. And it's kind of like fun every day just to like look at the board and be like, well, this has to get done and this has to get done. I'm gonna decide. I'm just gonna go do this. And
Mm.
if I hit like a mental roadblock or something, it's like, all right, well, maybe the other project is going to go smoother, or like I thought about that project while doing the other project, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's I'm gonna go that route. And I just kind of bouncing around all day and
Yeah.
get just trying to get different things done. And
Hmm.
I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah.
So you said that so your shop is like what? You said like 20 minutes from your house ish?
Yeah, it's like 17 minutes unless there's like a farm tractor or something you gotta wait to get around, and it's like 20 minutes.
So with being self-employed, like what does your work-life balance look like for like a typical week?
Pretty bad. Way
Okay.
more about work than I should be. I used to work like ridiculous hours, like Sam Wells hours, ridiculous hours, like for years, and like kind of gave myself a lot of burnout. And then we got the house, and then I worked even more because I was working on my house. But typically now, I try to come in like by 5:30 in the morning, and then it gives me like that quiet time to, whether it's like office work or physical work downstairs in the shop, just kind of get done anything that I really need to like spend a lot of attention on or focus. I try and do those like first thing in the morning, um, unless something like really has to get done, and I'll just do that job. But I try to do like the more focused jobs first thing, and then um, sometimes that'll last all day, and other times it's depending on what the workflow is. I do work for a local food manufacturing facility, and they'll call me up sometimes. It's like, hey, can you come repair this? Like, we're in the middle of production and this thing needs to get welded. So it's just like, drop what I'm doing, go take care of that.
Hmm.
And then sometimes they just like bring me home, like give me stuff to like take home to fix, kind of like it's like homework more or less, or like plus all this stuff needs to get fixed. Other times
While
it's
you're here.
that, yeah. Other times that like that little repair. It's like I usually try and get like a big thing lately, like the last few years, I suppose at least, is like if I'm getting called for a repair, it's like, can you just please send me some pictures? Like I want to see up
Hmm.
close, like you have no idea what I want to look at, and I want to see it further back so I can kind of get a scope on the whole project. Because as much as like, yeah, I charge portal to portal for my work and stuff, but I don't, it's like disappointing to get there and like, oh, I could have brought this and already been starting the job. It's like,
Yeah.
as much as it's like, yeah, it's nice to be like clocked in on a job. It's also nice to like feel efficient and organized, and um, also get back to the other work I was working on that I got pulled off of. So it's just like, yeah, just um, I work Monday through Friday. I used to work every single day until my daughter is turning 3 in February. So the last 3 years, I've been trying to learn how to dial things back and at least be home for dinner time.
Mm.
And then depending on how shot I am, I usually don't go back to work. But if something's pressing, or it's leading up to Fab Tech or something, then it's like, all right, well, it's like I'm gonna work a couple weeks at night after dinner and stuff, and just try and get caught up. Just so like things that I want to do, I feel like I'm not pressuring my customers into like a delay or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, Try not to really work Sundays. I just come into the shop to um, maybe just check on things because I'm obsessed, or like I feed the stray cats outside, so I usually just use it as an excuse to come down. Uh, but yeah, it's usually just Monday through Saturday, and then Saturdays aren't really a full day. But I also don't like usually tell customers that I'm working Saturdays, just so it's
Hmm.
like when I come down, it's like my time to like work on something that I want to work on, and things like that, like personal builds and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Um, what is what's your goal? Are you looking to just stay one man and efficient and just keep on grinding it and just getting more efficient and more efficient, or are you looking to build a team, or what does it look like for the next couple of years for you?
Um, Really depends on how well the week or the month is going, because sometimes it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I not just gonna go get a job and have,
True
you know,
story.
clock out on someone else's problems and worry about it tomorrow?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be nice for some work-life balance sometimes, but um, no, hmm,
Have you ever really thought about hanging it up and going to get a job?
probably like in the last 11 years, there's probably been like 4 or 5 times where I'm like, I should probably, and like I'll get into my head for like a week or so, or like maybe it's just like how the everything aligns where someone will mention an opportunity and I'm like, yeah, screw this, I don't want anything to do with this, and like then I'll start thinking about it, or I'll maybe sit down and talk to someone about
Mm.
it, like an opportunity, and I'm like the more I think about it, I'm like, I don't even think people would want me to work for them at this point. Like, I don't even know if I'm employable, like, with my attitude. Like, I just like things to be done a particular way now. And it's like, if someone wants me to cut a corner, like, they're paying me, I'm gonna be like, well, your way's stupid. Like, we shouldn't be cutting this corner. And people don't want to hear that. So,
Yeah.
um, no, so I don't really know. Like, my short-term goals are to try to actually spend a lot more time with my family, to try to like not really put my customers second, but to not keep forcing myself to think that they're more important than everything else,
Hmm.
um, which is kind of hard, especially because like a lot of my customers, like they don't really need me, but I'm like, and my even when I send them a bill, like even though like it might be like a lot of money or something like that, it means nothing compared to like how much it would cost them if they had downtime.
Hmm.
So I was like, I don't know, I feel like I owe them more than, but like I have to kind of take a step back and you know say that I owe it to my family more too.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I have. I always kind of like set goals for myself. Like a recent one was I want to make a portable plasma cutting system, like CNC. So like I just made like a rough draft version of it, and just so I can kind of see like what I have to improve upon, try to like update that one a little bit, and then have like Rev 2 or Rev 3 like be available for sale. Um, so that's like a more of like a smaller short term goal. Like I sold my old plasma table that I built in 2014 last January to my buddy Greg Becker, and I kept telling myself, I'm like, I sold it because it was always taking up room and I wasn't using it. And, it was able to cut like half-inch plate on the 60 amp plasma because I didn't have three phase at the time for anything really that much bigger. So then I put an oxy-fuel torch on it and it was great because then I could cut whatever thickness I wanted and it was like a perfect cut. But then if it was something I needed to laser cut for stainless or aluminum, I wasn't doing that in house, obviously. So like that would sit more times than not. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to sell that. And if I sell that, in my head, it's always like, well, it'd be cool if I can bring it on site and do on site work, whether it's horizontal, vertical, or on an angle. Uh, so that was my goal. And after selling it, it was like months and months and months go by. And of course, I didn't start the project because it was like, oh, it just seemed cool in my head. And then I went to FabTech. I came back from FabTech. I'm like, what am I doing? So like, I gave myself a goal of like a deadline that had to be done in like a year from when I sold the table. So granted, it wasn't like refined and finished, but like I'm making money with parts off of it right now, and
Hmm.
it's like not as nice as it should be, but it's still better than me cutting out by hand. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of still a happy medium, more or less, even though it does need to get refined and finished up. But and then like personal goal, um, I'm 38, turning 39 in April. I have to think about that for a second.
April what?
And
April what?
April 15th.
Ah, okay. I'm April 2nd.
Tax day. Oh, nice. Sweet.
I'm also turning
Probably
39, so.
nice. Oh, sweet. Um, so I want to have my house paid off by the time I'm 40, and it's looking like it's like working out that way. So it's like a hard goal, but that's
Heck
been
yeah.
like my like longer term goal. Um, so I don't know. I just try and set stuff like that, I guess.
That's awesome.
Where well, it's like long term goals seem so daunting to me, so I have to like condense them into like making it as like hard and quick
Bite
as
size.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, because I'm like, man, a 30-year mortgage seems ridiculous. And I'm like, so like we bought our house, I don't know, it's like 2017 or 2018. So it hasn't been that long. So yeah, it'll be nice to like kind of have that done free and clear and then figure out the next goal. I don't know what
Nice.
that'll be. Um, I would like to eventually get my own property, I think, for my building, but where I'm located right now, my landlord, he's just so easygoing, and all the other people that rent the shops over here, they're more or less all the same age. You know, like some are a couple years older. The one kid, he's 8 years younger, but it's like we always say that like people should record us because it's always ridiculous and like. But like it's we can have like meetings and stuff and like some mornings everyone's congregating in someone else's shop and shooting the shit and whatnot. But um, so it's in a good spot, and where all my customers are too. It's kind of like the epicenter of where they are. It's very convenient and easy to get material and stuff. So as far as like opportunities for where I would want to shop, I would want to obviously a little closer to my house than 17 minutes. So it's like there's like a couple places. So we'll see how things go. But once I pay off the house, maybe see if I can pull some strings to get something else to work as far as like that.
Nice.
But yeah. Do you
Cool,
set
man.
a lot of goals for yourself, or what do you do for goals?
Um, I don't do the whole New Year's resolution thing.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
yeah, that's just not really my thing. But
Like
goals,
if you can't do in July, you can't do in January.
exactly. Like if you want it bad enough, you shouldn't wait till January. Like you should just
Right.
go do it. Um, so I don't do anything like that. But yeah, I have long-term goals and short-term goals, and the problem with me is I get distracted real easy. Like I chase shiny shit all the time.
Yeah.
And that has been my learning lesson for the past year of really like trying to rein my and I have. Like I really rein myself in a lot with chasing the shade chasing shiny stuff. And it's really this year like last year was a year of refining the business. This year is going to be a year of refining personally, like for what we want out of life. And I'm diving more into the podcast because I want to make that more of a priority, along with really JMW and things like that. So yeah, I've got some goals, and it's just they're kind of fluid sometimes. We're up in between a lot of things right now. So, I mean, my big one for this year is really just is really hammering down on the podcast to make this something more than just a hobby that I do on the weekends. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, right. That and the special Fabricator Olympics has been taken off too, right?
It has. That's actually a big part of what we're doing too. We are still working on finding we're recording this in middle of January. We're working on finding a spot to do it. We have a couple spots that we could do it, but we want it to be kind of its standalone. Like we want to rent our own spot rather than piggyback off of someplace else, like we did the last 2 years. So, and really just planning more ahead of time because I feel like every year I'm terrible at marketing, and I'm really good at getting stuff done, but I'm bad at marketing. So we're really trying to focus on getting that um rolling earlier in the year, just so it's not so much of a daunting task. Like I have to take 2 months off to like run this thing when it's coming
Yeah,
time.
right. Last minute
So
everything.
yeah, yeah, and like the last 2 years have been it's been learning. Like last year I spent a lot of time making standard operating procedures for everybody. So the idea is to take this on the road and be able to do this all around the country. And in order to do that, you're not going to have the same people helping out all the time. So you need to be able to standardize things, just like I
Hmm.
standardize things in our shop. We have standard operating procedures for this and that, and there has to be people need direction. So last year was the beginning of the standard operating procedures, and this year we learned, And this year we're refining and we're doing it better. So I'm pretty excited for how the Fabricator Olympics is gonna shape up this year. I think we're looking mid October. We don't have a hard date yet, but we're looking mid October to be like a month after FabTech. So
Oh, no.
yeah. So
Yeah, so like as far as like what you were saying with that, it's like continual improvement kind of things.
hmm
Um, with like the processes and standard operating procedures. It's like there's a podcast I listen to sometimes about, and like they say stuff like that. It's like what like don't keep like tribal knowledge, like don't try to memorize everything.
hmm
Just because then like you're gonna have to like be that important go-to person every time. Whereas like if you make it like a kind of like there's a book I read called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth,
hmm
and they're saying like in that like you kind of want things to be like a franchise because then you can if you make a business a franchise and it's saleable, that means that like pretty much anyone can read the franchise material and know how to run that business and like yeah, so then you're basically once you refine that, it's like you're not done, but like you're not doing that every year from scratch.
hmm
So like yeah, it makes it way more efficient. It's a good idea.
What was the podcast that you listened to?
It's called the lean build. I'm sorry, the wow, incremental CI.
Okay.
Um,
Write that
it's for
down.
like it's yeah, more machining based. Well, not really, I guess. So they both do machining, but it's really about like continually improving your processes and they can you can really go down rabbit holes with it and it gets to a point too it's like you have to kind of like I've had to stop myself and kind of allocate a certain period of time like throughout the day to do it because otherwise it's like oh I'm just becoming more efficient and it's like well I haven't worked in 2 days because I've been just doing efficient things
Yeah.
it's like
Dude,
but
I ran into that this year. Like, we made a lot of SOPs for a lot for stuff that we do. And it got to the point I was like, is this just going to be too daunting of a thing to really take on and hold people accountable with? Like am I paperworking them to death with these standard operating procedures, or is it really going to serve them well? Because I can have all the standard operating procedures I want, but if they don't follow them, then nothing, it's not worth it. And but it really does help for onboarding new guys.
well if anything it's kind of counterintuitive if they don't follow it because now you're like wasted energy and that's like
hmm
one of those things that is like, what's the point of that even? So
Well,
it's like you said, it's like you want to create a process, but you don't want to create almost too many or make it so difficult that it's like hard for everyone to kind of be on the same page, right?
yeah. So I had to really make sure that it was worth making a standard operating procedure for, so
Right.
that people, I don't want to make a standard operating procedure for sweeping the shop. Like, you sweep the freaking shop. You do a good job or you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
But to
when
like unlock for the day or to shut down at the end of the day, absolutely those are things. Or to
yeah.
like, to weld a railing, you might have a certain procedure that you want so it doesn't twist up. And like
hmm
those things, yeah, that's gonna make a lot of sense, save you a lot of time, a lot of money in the long run too.
Yeah. And even installs. Like, I started one for how to install railing, because there's, how to a lot of guys come to us and they can weld, but they've never core drilled before. So core drilling is a thing in itself. And yeah, if you're paired up with a guy for a day or two, like, you've kind of got it. You know what I mean? Like, if you have any sort of brain, you can figure it out. But
Hmm.
if I can hand you a 1 page or 2 page pamphlet, said, this is our standard operating procedure for core drilling. Do you need to use our vacuum system? Well, if you're doing bluestone in a $4 million house, yeah, absolutely. Things like installing railings, we make sure that we have the right touch-up paint for the powder coat that we use. And we standardize our screws. We use this screw for this, and we use, concrete screws for this type of install, and we use epoxy and mesh screens for this type of install in the bricks. And people, guys don't know when to use concrete screws and when to use wedge anchors and when to use sleeve anchors. and when to use mesh screens with epoxy. And
Right.
they have four different applications for four different things that we do. So writing those down in a procedure says, hey, this is why you do it. This is what we use and why. It helps take that tribal knowledge that I have and the guys who have been in the shop for 2 years have, and conveys it to the guy who's been here for 2 weeks when he goes out on an install, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So to touch on that, I from like some of the like the that and then like that podcast I was telling you about, and another one, this one Lean Built with Jay Pearson. He has these excellent videos. He does like machining products and stuff. Um, but so like where you would want to like kind of revert back to information for like knowledge base for like the four different types of anchoring systems and stuff like that. Absolutely, like PDF or on a piece of paper printed out is great because someone can just flip through and like, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is ready to go. But sometimes as like a process or like a technique. So for instance, like when he assembles, he has these vacuum fixtures, and he'll actually do a video and he'll post it to his YouTube account and then do a QR code. So then like someone that's doing it can just take a picture of the QR code and go boom right here. And it's like whether they're home, they can rewind it, and like now he doesn't have to train every individual person on how to do it. It's like watch the video, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's like not wasted motion and all these other things. Everything stacks up all the time with like the improvement and stuff and being lean. But it's really interesting too because like every time I had an employee, I was doing everything so wrong. Where I'm trying to teach them and I'm trying to do everything so hands on in myself, and it's just like, well, yeah, if like I would have made a video or something like that, it's like how much more extra minutes would I would have had that week, and maybe they only had two questions at the end of it, not like
Mm-hmm.
trying to teach them one on one. So yeah, I think stuff like that is really important, especially, as your business starts to grow and stuff like that, and you don't want to have to be that guy all the time. You can kind of just you were that guy once, and now it's already, now it's to your advantage.
100%, dude. I have a YouTube folder for things that I've looked up and are good training for guys in the shop. So
Oh, good thinking.
we haven't implemented it yet, but things like, you know, correct size extension cords for what you're using. Like you don't use like an 18 gauge extension cord that you get at the dollar store to plug in your chop saw. And guys
Right.
don't
Exactly.
understand like the amperage, the voltage, and the and wattage and ohms and stuff like that. So I find videos and save them so that when we have team meetings, we'll be able to just watch this video. It explains it way better than I could and go from there. Like one of the things that I thought about this last week was, like a few months ago there was a TikTok video going around of, how to tie up the end of ratchet straps where they like
Oh
you like
yeah,
roll it up and then you like
the trucker style one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like the trucker style. You like wrap it around the back and then you loop it through and then you twist it to tighten it up. Dude, that is
Hmm.
brilliant. You know how many years I've been freaking wrapping the excess around like other things and then trying to like roll it up and then tie a knot around it and everything. But like it's something that like that where I want to standardize, like, cause it matters. Like if you put,
Yeah.
if you've got a powder coated staircase and you don't tie your strap up correctly,
Oh
then
my
you're
gosh.
driving
Right.
2 hours down the road and that strap
Yeah. Whip in and
is
beat
just
it. Yeah.
whipping the powder coat. Well, guess what? By the time you get there, that powder coat is ruined. That like
Hmm.
so it's a balance of like some guys would see you're gonna tell me how to wrap up my ratchet strap. Yeah, actually, because like I've had a problem with this before, and it actually is important in our business. You know what I mean? So it's things like
Well,
that
I'm not
where
saying it too. Like, and if it's all done the same way, chances are it's going to end up being done faster
yeah,
because it's like, so, like the guy next to him can say, no, it's doing this way. And then, like, if everyone's doing it the same way, eventually everyone's going to just keep increasing in speed too. So it's
yep,
like, it just
exactly,
makes sense.
yep. Yeah, I love that idea of just making videos on for training experiences, and the QR code is a really good idea. I think I might implement that for things like how to roll because like to try to explain how to roll up a ratchet strap in paper, like that's
Oh,
not gonna
right.
happen. Like
Oh, yeah.
you can just
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
just
even so,
link it
like
to it.
on my CNC machine, I actually on the mill, I took like video and I edited it all down on like exactly how to start it up. And like even like when I go to turn the knob, I have like text come up. It's like rotate clockwise 90 degrees and then hit F1. And like I put the text up on the screen as I do it too, just so like as someone's doing it, they're not like, oh, but what button did he have to press or this or that? And just like make it so like when you look at it, like you can be like, as long as you can read, you can figure it out from that one video, you know? It's just
Yep.
like, yeah, now, so the same kind of thing. I want to put on a QR code. So it's like, you could take a picture of that. You can take a picture of the one on how to run the part. You can take the picture on how to shut the machine down. And it's just like, now you, if you have questions from there, it's great. And if it's a good enough question, you can always edit that video later on. And it's just like, now you're kind of like, the questions that people ask from your videos can really help you determine on like, how good the video is or not, because like you're always thinking like, well, I know how to do this, but it's like that whole peanut butter and jelly sandwich thing. It's like trying to write down and tell someone how to make that sandwich. It's like, oh, what do you mean they had to both be on the inside of the bread and not on the outside of the bread with the peanut butter and jelly? It's like, what? But yeah, some people just they need that. So to try to convey that in a an appropriate manner, it sometimes can be interesting. So it's like that, yeah, like sometimes video makes a lot more sense than something written down. But then like
Yeah.
easy access to the video too.
Hmm. Do you have any other tips like that that you think people are kind of like slacking on, where it would be a really big help in their business?
Uh, I think some of the biggest things that I like waste time on as far as like a good tip is I have like 30,000 pictures on my phone, and it took a while to start realizing that like it doesn't matter like it's the same kind of lean principle more or less, or continual improvement is like it doesn't matter how much information you have if you don't know where to find it. So like you could have no information and too much information, and it kind of does the same thing at the end of the day. So like organization is really important. So like I've been really trying to, whether it's like equipment related, like I just got a new spider crane, so like now I have like a folder for everything for the spider crane for pictures, whether it's like a lift tag or a hydraulic motor number or whatever the case is. But I think that like if you could take a step back and think how much time that you go through looking for some information, it's like, and you do that repeatedly, make it streamlined. Like even on my plasma table, like I didn't use great software. I used Bobcat at the time, but um, actually I still use it because I've created all these templates. So it's like if I'm doing a profile on 16 gauge stainless on 40 amps, it's like all I have to do is select that and then the geometry. Everything's figured out. Compute toolpath, I have G code in seconds.
Hmm.
And instead of like going through and it's like, oh, I want to select this and select that, and it's just like um, I don't know, just be aware of what you spend your time on. A lot of times when I'm doing something, I personally think, I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this again, or how much time I'm spending to do this. And it's just like, well, what can I do differently? It's like whether it's looking for drill bits and then getting a drill drawer set up or something like that. So it's like, well, now I don't have to go look for all my different drill bits. They're all in the same spot, or grinding wheels, or uh, leaving a grinder set up for each individual, like a cutoff wheel, a grinding disc, a
Hmm.
wire wheel, a sanding disc. It's like, don't be switching that.
Yeah.
Grinders are too inexpensive to be doing that. Um, and then I don't know, like I kind of like, it's not like a huge, like not really that crazy of a tip, I guess, but one of my most favorite things I've done in the last few years is kind of take for like at least my shop consumables, like when I have my like I stick weld and carbon arc off my XMT 350. So I'll keep like a mix of different carbon arc rods all in one like stick electrode holder. And then same thing where like I'll keep 5/32, 3/16, eighth inch, and 3/32, 70/18 in that. Because then like if I'm doing something out by the door, it's like, oh, I just had to weld this quick. Well, it's a lot easier just to like change the amperage than to go back onto the shelf and grab different rods and this and that, or like different carbon arc rods. So I feel like having like, I don't know, just know what you're really kind of going to be doing. And even if it's kind of broad, it's like, all right, well, put together a little mixture of things just to make it easier. It's like I don't know, I kind of like got that idea from when I got the Michael Furick, the ceramic and glass welding cups. Like they come in like a little Tupperware, but it's all the collets and glass lenses, and then I ended up keeping a couple sharpened tungsten, and it's like then if I have to do anything, it's just like it's right there. But
Yeah.
then even faster than that is like the flex lock torch, and now I just keep one head set up for stainless and one head set up for aluminum. So now it's just one screw comes out, and now it's a fast switch over. And
Mm.
or I've kind of adopted again because I'm kind of an equipment whore, but I keep a welder set up for like 045 spray arc. I keep a welder set up for 035 hardwire short circuit. I keep a welder set up for 024 short circuit. It's just like if I have to do that, well, I don't want to have to change everything over. So I'm just gonna like set up that machine and do it. And that's kind of where I like the XMT so much. You can do so many different things off that little multi-process, and like it just takes it all day long.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that, and also like don't be afraid to buy equipment that's going to really, save time throughout your day. I've made purchases that I didn't need just because I wanted, like, and I now it's like to the point where like I don't even use them all the time, but like Piranha Iron Worker, I got a 90-ton Iron Worker, and like it's just having that to be able to cope out a corner or knock something. It's just like,
Oh,
oh my God, like how else would you do it? Get a cutoff wheel or get the torch and then grind it when you're done, or just press a button and hit a foot pedal, and now that thing is ready to weld. Like,
done.
so yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of good equipment out there for stuff like that. But again, it kind of goes back to SOPs and stuff like that. If you're gonna have other people do it too, it's like, well, you need to tell them that if you're gonna bend material to keep your chin out of the way or to keep your fingers out of the way to punch, is you're gonna start punching material.
Ben,
And like,
move your
it's like you
chin.
have to
Yeah.
say those things. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. It's like, oh, that thing you're bending, it's actually gonna move. It's like, yeah, that's how bending works. Oh.
What do you think is the best tool that you bought? Favorite tool,
My favorite tool. Holy smokes, that is quite a question.
right?
Um, So I haven't even used it yet, but I just bought a new spider crane, and I love cranes and I love things that are track driven.
Mm.
So
Talk to me
that's
about the
probably
spider crane.
so I just got a Meta 174C.
Okay.
Um, I was actually talking, because so Dylan Haas has his spider crane, and obviously Nick has his.
Yeah.
So down at Fat Tech, I was like, man, I really miss having my spider crane, and now I'm friends with you guys, and you guys have spider cranes, and I don't have one. And so I was like talking to them, like more moaning and complaining I didn't have one at the time. And one came up in an auction, like right near Nick's house. And he was like, I'll tell you what, he's like, if you buy it, I'll go pick it up. And I was like, oh my God. So I couldn't not buy it. But I had an older one. I had like a late 80s. It was like R&B engineering, like super Japanese. I mean, this one's super Japanese too, I guess, like gray market, I guess, kind of more or less, where like you have to like take a picture and Google translate all the controls or
Mm-hmm.
just try each one and write down what it does. But my original one was it had like a hydraulic pad that would just push down, manual outriggers on it. So you'd have to set everything up, lower it down. You're like, it still needs adjustment. It had a manual jib on it, and it was belt driven for travel. Whereas this one now, it's factory wireless remote control. It actually has final drives. It's hydraulic drive, and it's a three-stage boom, all hydraulic and hydraulic outriggers and stuff. So it's only got a 3,800 pound capacity, which is like 1.72 metric tons or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
That one does like
But
28 or 29 feet, correct?
no, I think it does like 18 feet. It's not.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not that. It's not that big.
Because I,
Um,
I was looking at the meters when I was looking to buy mine, and I think I went with spider crane because it just had like a little bit more reach, you know.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. And then like I don't know. You watch Adam Seaman Steel. He's got
Yeah.
that Jekko. That thing is unbelievable.
Mm.
Honestly, like the spider crane ones are beautiful, but that extra articulation up by the top, by the like
Yeah.
the jib section, is just like, oh my God, that thing.
I know. I think
One
I
day,
think
maybe one
theirs can
day.
do like 52 feet, and it's the same footprint. It's a little bit bulkier, taller machine,
Yeah,
and
but you need some ballast for that kind of load, though.
yeah, exactly. And but like I see Adam doing his and Dylan with his, and I'm like, Man, I thought my Spider Crane, my 295 was cool. I'm like, that thing has like a big it's got like a hydraulic jib on the end of it. I'm like, dang,
Yeah, that's
that is
impressive. Yep.
really
A
sweet.
295 is no joke though. That's a nice size spider crane
It
now.
is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually now that since mine is hydraulic drive unlike his replacement that was belt driven back in the day, my one of my next projects is I actually want to make a 24-volt DC hydraulic power pack for it and just like have it towed behind, even if it's just from the two hydraulic lines. And I'll just use like heavy enough, like strong enough, like 4 wire or something.
Hmm.
But I want to be able to run the machine and bypass the gas motor rather, so it's on battery power. Because
Hmm.
if I do that, then I can justify bringing it into the food place to be able to like move some stuff around. So
Well, it's funny because I want to go the opposite way because mine's battery now. So
only battery
it's
though, right?
only battery and it's
Yeah, right.
48-volt DC. I put a new motor in it, put new batteries in it, and it's strong, but you're still y- and we haven't fully killed it on the new battery setup yet. Granted, we haven't.
But you're also probably aware of it enough to not try to kill it though, too, right?
Correct. Like, I'm turning that thing off all the time, and it's plugged in when we use it. So, like, I killed it a few times when it was the old battery setup. And, you got to plug it in for 30 minutes and you have the limited track time. And I'm like, man, I could really go for like an engine so that I can run this as long as I want, track it as far as I want. So I was actually thinking of, and like I've done some modifications to it. Like I actually like moved, I shimmed up the motor and the motor housing like a half inch so I could get bigger batteries into the actual spider crane itself. So,
Oh, nice.
so I modified a little bit, but I'm afraid, yeah, and they sell conversion kits that you can run. Usually, it's a conversion kit from an engine drive to a battery powered, because they also have 240-volt conversion too, which would be pretty cool. So I can run, but
Just
I think
run an
that,
umbilical.
yeah, exactly. Like I was thinking, well, I could just run a 240-volt motor, but then there's the controller that runs that motor because I don't want to just piggyback off and run the hydraulics and be like, oh, we're good to go when the controller actually needs to control the motor to not just the hydraulics. So, I thought about it, but I think, you know, I bought it battery powered because we do a lot of stuff. Most of I say most of it. My idea was most of it we would use it inside, but it's been probably used outside more than it has inside. But it's really nice to be able to talk to people and not have the engine running all the time and things like that.
Yeah. Well,
But
one of the spider cranes that Nick has is diesel and electric and battery power, which is
yeah,
so cool.
yeah,
Being able to just switch that over is like,
I know. Well,
damn.
I think he bought all of his brand new. I bought
Yeah,
mine
of course.
used
It's Nick.
from yeah, it's Nick, exactly. He's a little extra.
Sick. He's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. When I bought mine, I had to get mine. We needed it for a specific job, and there was like 5 of them for sale in all of the, North America. It was and almost everyone was in I think 2 were in Washington, 3 of them were in Canada, and this was
Interesting.
one of the 3 in Canada that wasn't like, almost brand the cost of it was brand new. This was, like, during
Hmm.
peak COVID, and all the
Oh,
ones that
geez.
yeah, this was, like, 2021 or 2022 probably. And, the ones that were on their way over that, Smiley Lifting Solutions had, they were all spoken for already, and, so I was really limited with what I could buy, but it's
And you
been
can also
a great investment.
one of the options is you can always get like a gas motor because so the one thing I thought about doing was actually putting a propane conversion on mine since it's gasoline.
Mhm.
And then you can like most
Run it
places will let you
inside.
get away with running that inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I can't do that, the food manufacturing facility, you can't burn propane. Can't
Yeah.
burn anything.
A lot of
Like
them are
because
going towards
otherwise,
that too.
yeah. So it's like it's a cool option, but like yeah, if it's not gonna work for your customer base, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But yeah, spider cranes are just awesome. I
I
feel like the
know.
older I get, it's just gonna be better for my back.
I know. Yeah. Like, the spider crane It's funny because now that we have a crane on our truck, like we have a service truck with a 20-foot IMT crane on it. That
Nice.
spider crane gets used a lot less now because
Oh yeah.
I don't have to bring two machines. I don't have to bring the trailer with the stuff and the spider crane. I can just bring the trailer with the stuff and then use the truck to set the stairs or the railings or whatever we were doing right then and there. So it's actually been sitting a lot more. I actually considered selling it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did, and obviously I still
One of those
have
things
it.
you sell it and then you'll need it, and
My
then
gosh, well, like no, as soon as I thought I was like, you know what, I should sell this. I sold 3 jobs that I was going to use it for, and I was
oh
like,
jeez.
well, there's a sign from God that I should not sell it. So,
Yep. I
but
kind of like tell myself that a lot too. And it's like, oh, but since like I had a sense that I should keep that, and like then something comes up, and you're like, it makes me such an equipment hoarder though, because I'm like, I just justify holding on to everything. So I'm like,
hmm
yeah, but like I do so many different things. I'm not gonna need it now, but I might need it in like 6 months, and it's gonna be like the cat's ass and help me out,
yep,
And it's just like kind of makes for like bad mentality for me, at least for like wanting more and more stuff and not getting rid of anything. I actually so I got the 330 Air Pack at the end of last year, and I have a 325 EFI that I replaced it with, and like I kept that up on the shelf on my aluminum skid I made for it, and I was like actually joking around with Nick. I'm like, look, I'm trying to be like you with all these engine drives now. But then, like, honestly, I never took it off the shelf. I didn't use it. And it was one of those things where I'm like, how long am I going to hold on to this for before, like, I realize I don't actually need it? Like, my local welding supply, you can rent the machine if you need to from them.
hmm
So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I don't know really if this makes sense. I'm like, it's just going to, like, sit for no reason. So I reached out to a buddy who actually was asking if I would sell it. He does line boring and stuff. So he wants to purchase it, and now like I feel it. I'm like, man, now I'm gonna have to part with it. But it's all in good fun though. It's for the next chapter at least.
Yeah, I went through a probably 2 years ago. We did a clean out of the shop, and my mentality was, if I could sell it for this much money, would I buy it again for that much money? Like today, if I could sell this for 2 grand and I had 2 grand in my pocket, would I give somebody else $2,000 this machine or whatever? And if the answer was no, then the answer was to obviously we just to sell it because you're doing the same thing, like you really are,
Yeah,
So doing that, like thinking about it like that, helped me out a lot, and I was able to just purge a lot of stuff, and I missed some of it, but really, like, I just didn't use it. It was cool. Like I always say, I started my shop just to feed my tool addiction,
yeah,
and
same.
it was true. It was true. And then as more guys came on, I was like, well, this isn't the Kevin show with his helpers anymore. This has to be a real business, and I
Right, right.
I have to think about it like that.
Actually, similar thing. So like for line boring, I had first bought an end drive unit, and then it was like really cumbersome, and it was like really hesitant to use it. So then I went out and bought a bore repair system, and I was pretty happy with it, probably because I didn't know any better. And it was like serving me well for a lot of jobs that I did. And then I finally got a Climax set up. And then after that, I got the Climax set up and that goes from an inch and 3/4 bar. I got a 2 and 1/4 inch bar, so it's just a lot more rigid. And like you start using that, it's just like, well, I don't want to use the orange set anymore.
hmm
It's like it's not the same. It's not the Climax. And then besides like a few jobs over the last year that I've had the Climax set up, I've barely used the bore repair. So I'm like, you know what? Like I'm just holding on to it just because it's like maybe sentimental in a way to me, but not really. Like, and if I'm not using it, it's just like taking up space and like for like no real reason. So I listed that for sale too, and actually I sold that, and it like you were saying, it's just like, yeah, I thought like it would be good to hold on to, but if I'm not using it though, it's just like it's more detrimental to the business than anything. It's just
hmm
like for what reason? Like it's taking up valuable real estate, it's holding up liquid for other things or whatever. So yeah, it feels weird to kind of put some chapters behind, but I don't know. Got to do it.
Yeah.
Gotta suck it up and do it.
So speaking of getting rid of things, if or looking back, if you were to do it all over again, what would you change?
Oh. Um, I think that I would probably. I really think that like if I would have hired a manager and like sucked it up and like listened to someone tell me how to like manage my weeks and stuff like that, I think it would have been a lot better off.
Like a business
Um,
coach
I think
or
no, like more or less like someone to manage me, like a project manager, more or
mm,
less. Like try to help with scheduling. Maybe someone that would actually uh, like I think of Sam, where like his dad kind of has been doing the same thing for a long time. He's like amazing at estimating and stuff. And Sam saying that like once he retires, he's going to go work for him. And I'm like, now like that, like if I could have had that kind of situation, like 8, 9, 10 years ago, I feel
yeah.
like it would put me into like my body would probably be a lot more hurt. But like I don't know, I feel like I'd be able to like probably grow fast and work, still doing the work and whatnot.
Hmm.
But I don't really regret it though. Like it's taught me what I really want to do and don't want to do, and what I like about business, what I don't like about business, and like at the same time, I've still afforded to do all the things that I've wanted to do. Like, I'm pretty bad at trying to like budget my money. I just buy what I want, and like it's still let me do that for the most part. So it's like not every week is always like roses and things go smoothly, but for the most part, like over the look of like bird's eye view of all the years in business, it's like um for the most part, I've always had like a gain from the year prior. With the exception of like during COVID, I've never been so busy before in my life, and like it kind of took a little bit of a step down, but like nothing dramatic at all. Some of that also might just be for the fact that like I'm cutting back on work because of my kids and stuff too, or like at least trying to like be home for dinner and stuff like that, and not work just like crazy 20-hour days and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, maybe someone just to try to help me focus my energy and time on things appropriately.
Hmm. Do you outsource a lot of like stuff, or do you
I
just try
try
to
to
keep?
outsource as much as I can.
Do you
The only
really?
stuff I do, or yeah, the only things I do that are like in-house are things that I can't reliably outsource, I guess, at least in an efficient manner or time frame that like it would require. Um, like I think for the real estate that I have as far as the shop, I used to have like a 8 foot, or it was an 8 foot Dyson Crump electric finger brake. And I used, back when I had my plasma table, and I quickly realized that that is not the type of work that I want to be playing around with. I don't want to have to deal with crowding issues. I don't want to have to deal with anything like that. So like, yeah, I would outsource all my bending work, laser work. Actually, I just bought a laser welder. I'm still waiting for it to come in from China. But I feel like that would really help me along with some of the stuff that I do at the food processing facility. But um, yeah, so I was actually outsourcing all my machine work for a while to a local guy who's a little older, and sometimes it was like not done the way that I wanted it, or it took 2 weeks longer, and so it's just like, all right, well, I have to buy that machine now because I have to be able to do that quicker. Um, but if yeah, like I think being resourceful is important because if someone else can do it for me and I can like rely on them and trust them to do it and do it how I would want it to be done, and they're just going to make their money and I can make some money on top of it,
Mm,
I think it's silly, especially as a one man show, to try to take all that work on. I think as a one man show, it's more important to kind of be like a liaison, or someone who is resourceful, because you can only do so much work in a 40-hour week. So if you can have other people do some work for you, then I'll do the stuff that maybe doesn't it's not cost justified to freight in, or to to have someone else do, or maybe it requires something to be done on site. So it's like, well, while I'm doing that stuff, it's like I'm gonna have someone laser cut stuff for me. So it's like I usually use like Court at Laser Brothers, and um, it's kind of like really worked out for me where it's given me the availability to kind of get the work done that's either like has to be done immediately, and or also to kind of save customers some money sometimes too. Like I know that even when I had my plasma table and torch table, like if I needed like inch and a half grade 50 plate, I'm not going to get a 4x8 sheet of that in to be able to cut out a couple of parts. Like my supplier's cheap enough that it's like, well, you're 2 days out, you're going to cut those for me. And they're basically only charging me for the material that I use. It's like, it would cost me more money to do it myself. Like, who am I trying to, like, who do I
Mm,
have to prove that to, you know?
yeah.
So, I mean, as long as it makes like, I would say if it makes sense monetarily and for whatever the time frame is for the job, yeah, I think it would be silly to not like have other people help me out
Mm,
at this
yeah.
point, you know?
Interesting. Yeah. We've been learning that. Well, I have been learning that, and we're trying to outsource more. So that's interesting.
So like even that production job, like where I'm doing all the aluminum, it's a 3 inch by 3/8 flat bar. So and it's cosmetic, so it can't have any scratches, dings, dents, or anything like that on it. So I buy the material from through my supplier, but I always request that they get it direct from the mill. So it's brand new. It's not sitting on the shelf. It hasn't got drug off the tines on the shelf a couple of times and thrown back up there. It hasn't gotten messed up on a forklift. They pull it all off, have them cut everything to size because they have an auto saw. I don't even think that they charge me to cut it when I look at the price versus like the cost of the material for the job. I'm like, well, it would take me like 15 of these jobs at least to buy an auto saw. And then that's like, I need more room in the shop for it. I would still like an auto saw eventually, but like a smaller footprint. But like now I get the stuff, it's already cut perfectly to size. Every single piece is exactly the same size. It's already crated up, put it right next to the machine, and I just do the work. Now I don't have to be the material handler, I don't have to be the saw operator and all that.
Mm,
And for maybe a few cents a piece, it's like I would be stupid to be able to be like, oh,
try to do
bring it
it
all in.
yourself.
I'm gonna move it all around myself. Hopefully I don't scratch it up. When I get it, if it's scratched or dented or dinged, like even says on the PO, like I can literally call them and they'll cut me more pieces. So it's just like just for like the insurance factor of it alone, it's just like, yeah, absolutely. Or like even now, like I can call some of my suppliers and I'll just send them a DXF or like if I'm working on some pins, it's like instead of having to like even lift up a piece of 1 inch to put onto the table or to cut anything out, it's like I just have them cut a couple of these tangs for me, and then like yeah, I'm just gonna go grab that or have them deliver it the next time I get material. And like I didn't need it like that week, but and like the amount that they're charging me is just like, are you sure that's right? It's just like, because I mean, like, if someone comes in and they want something done, like, I have a minimum charge, and
Hmm.
like, a lot of times too, like, if I'm in the middle of something, like, I don't know, I don't think bougie, but like, sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to do it. I'm like, it's almost not worth the hassle. And then like, other times it's like, yeah, give me all your little walk-in work because that's the kind of mood I'm in this week.
Yeah.
So like, it really kind of depends on what's going on, but. Yeah, no, I think outsourcing is really important, honestly.
Yeah. What's something that you wish that you knew before you started?
Everything. Um, that I trusted people when I first started a lot, and
Hmm.
I don't know if it's because of where I am geographically near the city or what, and like so many people migrate up from the city and stuff, but it seems like in my area, like when I was doing at least mobile welding, I was always trying to get like work, and then I always had to deal with trying to get paid more jobs than not. And to me, that was like my least favorite part about business.
Mm.
Um, that would give me the worst stress and anger and resentment on some work. So then, like, I kind of switched up how I would operate and more or less kind of just played like I just put my foot down. I would like literally require like if I already didn't do work with you, like you would have to pay me a 50% deposit to do like a job, and if it's like and you have to pay me the remaining 50%, including like a check has to clear before you come take the work. Because if Home Depot is going to do that, or Quick Check is going to do that when you
Yeah.
want a candy bar, it's like I'm not a bank. If you don't have that money for this, maybe you should call someone else because I'm just going to fabricate. I'm not going to loan you money too.
Yeah. I got to
Um,
finance it.
yeah. So there's a lot of lessons learned with stuff like that, and I've also burned bridges from stuff like that too, just from how bad I handled the situation, and that's probably also what led me to, kind of fine tuning my the way that I conduct business and stuff like that. And yeah, for the most part, it's like but I also don't try to hide it from anyone either. Like if someone calls me and they're like, "We need this right away," and it's like they're working on a local bridge or something, I'm like, "Cool, so you guys might as well just. This is how much it's going to be. You're going to have to just send me the check now, and then when it's done, you can take it." And there are plenty of people who are like, "We're not going to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I'll give you as many references as you want,
Yeah.
but I'm also not going to just do it and wait for payment." So like, yeah, I've lost a decent amount of work, maybe, I guess so, from that, but it's so much less stress so that I don't ever have to worry about getting paid from a customer.
Mm.
Like the customers I have now, almost all of them, exception of a couple of them, like I almost always get like an ACH transfer now, and like don't have to worry about it. I don't even have to go bring a check to the bank. It makes me feel like that's the way that it should be in business. It's like I'm not a I'm not trying to make an agreement if you're going to pay me or not. I'm just trying to you tell me that you want something made. I'm going to make it and make
Yeah.
it the way that you want it made. Like it shouldn't even be a concern if you're going to get paid or not. So that was a big lesson.
Yeah. Where I'm trying to get on that page too, but I feel like it's different in a little bit different with the general contracting space because we require 50% deposit and um, that's standard. And a lot of people are like, well, we can't do that. And I'm like, well, I'm not into financing your job for you. They're like, "Well, you're not financing." Yeah, actually, I am financing. If you haven't given me, they're like, "Well, when you order, like when you have the material on site and give me proof, then I'll like we can submit a payment." I'm like, "That's cool," but then I have to wait till your next billing cycle for you to process that payment, and then
Yeah.
at least 30 days after that. So by the time I get material on my shop floor, I'm waiting probably 45 days until I get paid for that material deposit. Meanwhile, in 45 days, the job's gonna be done and installed. Like, I that's probably gonna bite us for some jobs. And I had a contractor who I just worked with, who I've done previous work with, and he went to a new company. And before I didn't have such a strict rule on that, and I'm like, hey, they're like, well, just I see you didn't sign that contract. I'm like, yeah, because you guys didn't sign the estimate. They're like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Well," they're like, "What's on the estimate that's not on the contract?" I'm like, "You say I'm gonna get paid on the contract, but you don't tell me when you're gonna pay me." I'm like, "Well, I require a 30-day payment and a 50% deposit." They're like, "Oh, well, I mean, this new company is not gonna do that." I'm like, "Well, then, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that because, and the job's only like 6 grand or something like that." And, it's a lentil beam that I gotta go fabricate and put up. It's nothing. So, um, and he's like, "Oh, man, like, if you pull off this job, it's gonna make me look really bad." I'm like, "Look, alright, I'll tell you what, I'll do you a solid. I'm not gonna pull off this job this time. But moving forward, letting you know these are my terms, and this is the way we're gonna start doing things. And if it doesn't work out for this new company you're in, man, I totally get it. But I do wanna do work with you. I'm just not into and, like, I get the spot they're in, they can't submit a bill to their customer until they have proof of it and this and that, and then there has to be times of billing cycles, and I'm just there are people who will chase that, and I just don't think I want to be one of those people. Maybe I will, but I just think right now,
or even become more picky and choosy with who exactly,
yeah,
you know? It's just like,
yeah. So, um, yeah, so that's a hard conversation that I had the other day. I'm like, I won't pull off and make you look bad, but moving forward, I'm gonna have to put my foot down because I know how long it takes to get paid for a lot of this stuff, and honestly, I just don't want to be in that game. I don't,
yeah, a
maybe I
lot of it
will,
is like,
but not right now.
just like with business, I just like, I guess the biggest maybe tip, like you were asking before, is, um, and I don't always do this, but the easiest and best way to run a business is to not bring emotion into it
Mhm.
and just treat it as a business. It's like you don't have to like hope that someone's going to pay you if you have payment terms and it's all agreed upon and stuff like that. So it's like I'm as strict as I can be with all those kind of things, and everything moves the way that it should move. Like there's no worry about stuff. But like you said though, you definitely get affected. Like yeah, like um I don't do work for some municipalities will give an exception and pay within 7 days, and to me, that's like the longest that I'm willing to wait, kind of thing. And then, but like I also have some customers who are like, they're usually great, and if it takes them 3 or 4 weeks to send me a check instead of a week, like I'll reach out and be like, "Did you get that invoice?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we're just waiting on something or whatever." But like usually, like those customers, like I'm not worried about anyway. Um, but it's usually more or less like a new customer because like you don't have a record with them. So it's like, how do you know if they're just trying to take advantage of you or not? It's
Mhm.
like it's kind of difficult. But yeah, as long as like you always have like contracts are important, even just a signature or like a lot of the times like I try to keep an email or text message record of things instead of just a phone conversation. Like even if I get off the phone with someone, I'm like, all right, just to reiterate what we just spoke about, it's this, this, and this. Please respond and confirm. And more or less, like that's helped me out a lot as far as trying to get paid. 'Cause it's like have a little bit of proof of at least what transpired.
Mhm.
Because it's like if you have a conversation with someone and like you have to wait for permits or something like that, and then it takes a couple of weeks or a couple of months for the job to happen, and all of a sudden it's like I don't remember saying agreeing to that, and I feel like that's where things can get a little interesting sometimes.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
Um, now it's hard for me to like never done a podcast before, so a little tangent. I feel like I'm tangenting a little bit
No, that's
and whatnot.
perfect. That's what we want.
Uh,
Cool, buddy. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out, man. I look forward
yeah.
to seeing you soon and seeing you out at FabTech, and hopefully you can make it down for the Fabricator Olympics because you're not too far from us. You're probably only 2.5
Yeah,
hours.
I think of 2.5 hours, something like that. Yeah, I'd like to try to come out. My son was born last year. That's the only reason I'm like, that's what I was telling you. I was like, there's not a chance I can go this time. My wife let me go to FabTech. She's not going to let me go to that too.
I'll let you slide for
But
that one.
all right. Thanks for having me on, Kevin. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Well, that's it for this episode, guys. I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you want to reach out to John, you can find him on Instagram at the.shop.incorporated. If you want to reach out to me, Kevin at jmwfabrication.com. I want to hear from you guys. Find me on Instagram at Welding Business Owners Podcast. You can also find me at JMW Fabrication. If you like this show, please review it, give us a 5-star review, and send it to somebody who you think it would help. Check back in 2 weeks for a brand new episode with another business owner you haven't heard yet. And until then, get out there, get it done, and get it invoiced.